All right, let's talk about stamina. And the reason I want to talk about this is really two reasons. One, just recently in one of the videos that I had posted at the time of me filming this, somebody mentioned in the comments while I was doing my leader Ash video that there was no point in putting 2 points into Artful Dodger on leader Ash, because ultimately that 5% extra stamina cost reduction makes zero difference, because you get 3 dodges by putting 1 point in it, and that extra 5% will not give him a 4th. So there's no real reason to do it outside of wanting to have a little bit of excess stamina left over when you're done dodging, which I will say is a thing that people could want, because it then means with your stamina coming back up that you can potentially dodge another time earlier than you otherwise could. So it's not to say it's completely useless, but I'd say that most people who are paying attention to stamina and dodging are mostly paying attention to it because they want to know, how many times can I dodge before I'm out of stamina and have to wait for my stamina to come back up. I think that's the context most people use for stamina. I don't think too many people are concerned about how quickly do I, how long do I have to wait before I can dodge again. I don't think too many people are concerned with stamina in terms of how long can I run for before I run out of stamina. Typically, you're not going to need to run, and you shouldn't, because enemies can catch up to you really easily, even if you're sprinting. And if you need to get away from something, you should be using a car. And if you do need to get away from something to get to a car, it's actually better to just jog, backpedal, and dodge than it is to try to sprint away from them. So sprinting is kind of irrelevant in that regard. But I did want to make mention of that and how you do have a little extra stamina left over if you care about that, but I'd say most people don't. And that's why I made this video. Did I even mention the second reason? The second reason I want to make this video is because there's a lot of funky stuff going on with damage in this game and the way damage works. And I just recently watched another YouTuber's video on how damage works in this game. And it was very interesting because there's a lot of oddities in how damage interacts with one another. So as I watched that, I also thought to myself, I'm interested to see how stamina works. So I hope that this video gets a decent amount of views, because I had to put a lot of work into testing all this stuff, and it was kind of annoying to try to get all this testing done, but I'm glad I did it, because now I know, and it will make my builds better as a result. So the first thing that we're going to look at is this stuff here. This is all kind of out of order and funky, but I'll explain it to you what we got here. Up here, if it says base, that means how many times they can dodge if they max out their stamina in game with pink F. This is how many times they can dodge down here. This is with no perks on that increase the amount of stamina or reduce the amount of stamina that they use when they dodge. This is just their baseline with no perks equipped. So the interesting thing to note before we get into hunters here is that warriors have less stamina than everybody. Hunters have the most, and then leaders and supports have the same amount of stamina. That's kind of interesting, because if you actually look at the melee damage numbers and I think it actually applies to range as well, but basically when it comes to damage numbers, warriors do 30% more damage with melee, hunters do 30% less, and vice versa. And then leaders do the base amount of damage, and supports deal 20% less in ranged and melee than leaders do, than the base. But that is not the case with stamina. In my testing, leaders and supports at base get 2 dodges, and this is when they max out their stamina in game. And by the way, they both have the same pink F upgrades. They both, leaders and supports, get to upgrade it 3 times for a total of 30% stamina reduction. And if you fully upgrade it, it means you get 2 dodges and you have this amount of stamina left. And that's at base. So what that means is that with every leader character and every support character, you only need to put 1 point into Artful Dodger, and every leader and every support character has Artful Dodger, and all of them get 2 points that they can put into it, and all of them give 15% and 20% stamina cost reduction. And I'll show you by going to this other support. Same thing, there's Artful Dodger, 15 and 20%. You can max it out to 2 points. For both of them, there's no reason to put 2 points into it. You put 1 point into Artful Dodger on any support, on any leader. Now they can dodge 3 times. And that's all you need to do. You don't need to put another point into it. The only reason you would is if you want to have a little extra 5% stamina left over. But personally, I don't know why you would want that. I don't know why you would want to do that. Now, warriors are very interesting. Warriors at base, I didn't even really think about this while playing warriors because I don't dodge very often with warriors since they're meant to be tanks. They can only dodge once at base. And in fact, they can only dodge once with no upgrades in stamina. So whether they have no upgrades in stamina or they have it fully upgraded, which they can only upgrade it twice in game with Pink F for a 20% stamina reduction. That's a weird way of wording it. I think it's like stamina cost reduction. They still can only dodge once. So effectively in game, there's no reason to upgrade your stamina in game. The only reason you'd want to upgrade it with your Pink F upgrade as a warrior, if you're not bringing stamina use reduction perks, is if you want to, for some reason, have more stamina while sprinting, which again, as I've mentioned, is not that important. So there's stamina is even worse than I thought it was for warriors. You basically don't want to upgrade stamina at all. It's effectively useless in game. If you look at this, they also have a stamina perk. That's warriors, that is, but they have Artful Dodger that lets you upgrade it 3 times. So it goes from 15 to 20 to 35. Now you might be thinking, oh boy, that 35% looks tempting. That's 15% more than the level 2. Leaders don't get that. Support doesn't get that. Maybe that's worth it to max out Artful Dodger. It's not. And here's why. If you put 1 point into Artful Dodger, you can dodge twice when maxed out with a tiny little sliver of stamina left right here. If you max it out, you still can only dodge twice. The only difference is you get a little decent chunk of stamina left over. So you really only need to put 1 point into Artful Dodger. You do not need to max this out on warriors. It's not worth it. So another thing to keep in mind when you're leveling up your warriors. Now, the complicated stuff, which is hunters. Hunters have a ton of stamina. And because they can upgrade their stamina 5 times in game, and they're the only class that can do that, they can dodge 4 times at base. So if they max out their stamina in game, and actually the 5th and final upgrade of stamina in game just makes it so you regen faster. So once you have 4 points out of 5, you get the maximum amount of stamina reduction cost possible. You can dodge 4 times. That's actually kind of insane because that means that you can dodge the full combo of any enemy at base. So if you're 1v1ing a boss, you can dodge their full combo because every combo in the game is only 4 hits. So that's really, really good. At base, they could dodge a full combo. And with that stamina regen level 5 Pink F upgrade, it basically means dodge, 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 dodge. Now you can sit there and you're going to get almost all that stamina back and be able to dodge, dodge, dodge again. So that's really, really good at base. But there's a little nuance to it because the hunters, not only do they have Artful Dodger, they also have access to, and you can ignore this perk tree, this is old, but they also have access to staying power, which increases their maximum stamina. And that's obviously seems really good too, right? Like you get to upgrade your full stamina. That's great. It means you're gonna be able to dodge more. It means you're gonna be able to run for longer if you care about that. Like It's awesome, right? But if you actually look at the numbers, it tells a very interesting story. First of all, the nice thing about them is that there is value in fully upgrading both. If you put 3 points into staying power and 3 points into Artful Dodger, you could dodge 7 times. And that is the only way that any character could dodge 7 times. Outside, I guess, of Kelly using her ability. So the only way you could dodge 7 times in a row like that is if you fully upgrade both. You could dodge 7 times in a row, and you even get a little bit of sliver of stamina left over. So that's really, really good. But it begs the question, is it worth the point investment to get that 1 extra dodge? Because if you actually look at this, if you only put 1 point into staying power and max out Artful Dodger, you could still do 6 dodges. You could still do 6, and you have a little sliver left over. So what you're sacrificing is 1 less dodge for 2 freed up perk points. So if you're someone who really wants fear reduction because you're concerned about your hunter getting possessed and wiping the team, this is probably where you want to take points away from. Because every other point that you can put in can contribute to your damage. And I think damage is very important because there's a lot of really tanky units in the game, and you need, in my opinion, every point of damage that you can get. So if you want to sacrifice 1 less dodge, which frankly, I don't think that you need that 1 extra dodge once you're level 5 in game and your stamina is fully maxed out, that just put 1 point into this and 3 points into that. And it's also worth mentioning that this is the best combination for your for your perk economy. So if you look here, I also tested it by putting 3 points into staying power and then 2 points into Artful Dodger, and it's less effective, slightly less effective, despite the fact that it's 1 more perk point of investment. It's less good. That was weird English. Than this here. This leaves you with a little more stamina. So the Artful Dodger investment is better than the staying power investment. Now, again, I should mention that it does maximize your stamina. So if you are somebody who cares about sprinting, it is going to let you sprint for longer. So maybe you're someone who's like, hey, man, I want to be able to sprint for longer too. So I'm still going to invest points into this. That's fine. And again, it does give you 7 dodges. So that's really good too. But I really wanted to bring this up because I think that if you are someone who really wants to reduce your fear, then it's important to know these numbers, because now you can save 2 points and only lose 1 dodge in exchange for getting to put 2 points into Fear No Evil. And the way that I had this built on level 25 Ash is I kind of had a point left over, and I was like, well, do I put it in fear reduction for only 5% fear reduction? That doesn't seem worth it. So I had one in Surgical Strike to reduce spread, so I could turn my double barrel into more of a, a tighter shot, so I could land headshots with it. Because that's a 20% spread reduction from level 1 to level 2. But if I take that leftover point and I take 2 points out of staying power and invest it all into Fear No Evil, now I get a 20% fear reduction. So that's something to keep in mind. If you are someone who wants to have fear reduction for your hunter. So this was the full breakdown of stamina and how they interact with some of the perks in this game. I hope this helps people. I hope this makes you better at building your characters and speccing them out, so you're not wasting points into perks that are completely unnecessary. Hopefully this makes everybody a better player and helps their perk builds get even better. Certainly, I'm glad that I now have this information, because there are old character videos that I've made that I will probably do over again with this new knowledge and the knowledge I have of how damage works in this game. So I hope this helps everybody. I hope you enjoy the video. And hey, this is my first video that I've filmed, by the way, as a YouTube partner. So if you've made it this far in the video, I just want to say thank you. Thank you for watching. Thank you for supporting me. It's amazing to be a YouTube partner after all these years. I really appreciate you watching the videos. Thank you so much. If you aren't already, please subscribe. I'd appreciate it. And I will see you guys in the next video. Thank you for watching.